Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. If you are here for the Neyagawa Urban Core Review Public Information Meeting, you've clicked the right link. My name is Lara Nelson, and I'm a policy planner with the town of Oakville. I am joined this evening by my colleagues Gabe Charles, who's the Director of Planning, Leslie Gilwoods, Acting Manager of Policy and Heritage Planning, and Kirk Bigger, Senior Planner. We are happy to welcome Councillor Parmar as well, and as a panelist, and hopefully Councillor Sandhu will be able to join us shortly as well. We are also pleased to see such a great collection of registrants for this evening's event, including residents, developers, and planners, as well as various representatives from the collection of agencies. So tonight we are excited to share some information with you about the Neyagawa Urban Core Review. The session will begin with a brief presentation, followed by a moderated question and answer period. If you would like to ask a question or provide a comment, you may do so in the Zoom chat. You can also ask questions and provide input following the meeting through our study webpage. The presentation which follows will provide a brief overview of the planning policy context for the study, identify some key opportunities related to planning for the Neyagawa growth node, existing conditions, and identify some preliminary goals and objectives leading towards a draft official plan amendment. Planning in Oakville is undertaken within the provincial policy framework for land use planning and growth management. Central to this, the province's growth plan sets out overarching policies and targets and provides forecasts of population and employment growth to the year 2051 that planning within Halton Region and the town must conform with. Provincial policy is implemented through the Halton Region and Town of Oakville official plans. Official plans are high-level planning documents that act as a playbook with policies to guide development. Planning policies at all levels emphasize the achievement of complete communities and the integration of climate change considerations when planning for strategic growth areas, including nodes such as the Neyagawa Urban Core, which is the topic of our meeting this evening. The Neyagawa Urban Core Review is a study being completed as part of the town's ongoing official plan review and will support implementation of the town-wide urban structure. Lands within the study area are identified as an element of the town-wide urban structure as a node for further study and a location for a potential transit station area. Neyagawa Boulevard is also identified as a mobility link in the town-wide urban structure, which is consistent with Halton Region's mobility management strategy. The town-wide urban structure represents our community-based view and a unanimous council direction to provide for the long-term protection of natural heritage, public open space, and cultural heritage resources, while maintaining the character of established areas and providing the foundation to direct growth to identified nodes, such as strategic growth areas and corridors. For areas identified within the urban structure as nodes for further study, the official plan states that a future review shall provide updated and new policies to delineate boundaries, the mix of land uses, and the intensity and scale of development. And this is what we are doing now. The North Oakville East Secondary Plan also acts as the official plan for lands in Oakville north of Dundas Street and south of Highway 407, which is where the Neyagawa Urban Core is located. Here you can see the Neyagawa Urban Core situated within the broader Oakville context. The study area lands are located in North Oakville in the area of Burnhamthorpe Road West and Neyagawa Boulevard. The lands are adjacent to the Highway 407 and to the town of Milton to the north, and are northwest of the Uptown Core and northeast of the Hospital District nodes in the town of Oakville. Our study area includes all four quadrants at the intersection of Neyagawa Boulevard and Burnhamthorpe Road West. The purpose of the NUC review is to delineate the growth area boundary, determine an appropriate mix and scale of land uses in a manner that supports consideration of a 407 transitway station. This is a very important opportunity to plan a transit-supportive, mixed-use, complete community that provides a range of housing choice and a diverse local job base, including traditional, commercial, and office employment. The planning of this strategic growth node as a mixed-use, complete community also represents land use planning that is responsive to the climate emergency. So what are we planning for? The Neyagawa Urban Core Review will provide a framework to guide development of a complete community that includes residential and commercial uses, jobs, parks and open space, schools and community amenities, and key transportation and transit linkages. What is not changing? So the study will result in an official plan amendment that supports the established town-wide urban structure and is consistent with that. We are not making any changes to features such as the existing residential subdivision or the natural heritage system. Here we have the study timeline. The review began in the fall of 2021 with a background and preliminary directions report presented to Town Council in October 2021. You can also access that report through the study webpage. We've been undertaking analysis and consultation, which will continue throughout February and March, leading to a public meeting and draft official plan amendment in April. Following this, we are targeting a recommendation report and an official plan amendment for June, which ties into the regional official plan review, which is also currently underway. This graphic illustrates the overarching timeline for the Halton Regional Official Plan Review. The Regional Official Plan Review involves the development of a preferred growth concept for the region and allocations of population and employment growth and associated land needs within Halton, looking ahead to a 2051 planning horizon. The Regional Official Plan Review is working to meet a provincial conformity deadline of July 1st, 2022. So the Regional Official Plan Review will extend the planning horizon in Halton for the 2031 to 2051 timeframe and bring the region into conformity with the provincial 2019 growth plan. Town staff have been engaged with the region throughout their official plan review. And as part of this work, the Neyagawa Urban Core is identified now as a secondary node in the regional urban structure. The region also recently updated regional employment area mapping to advance some strategic employment lane conversions, including within the Neyagawa Urban Core study area. A key opportunity in planning for the Neyagawa Urban Core is its role within the broader transportation system. The location of the NUC at the intersection of Burnham-Thorpe Road West and Neyagawa Boulevard is very advantageous from perspectives of the transportation network and the opportunity to deliver mass public transit. The node is identified in the urban structure as a mobility link, which is key to connecting people through transit throughout the region, as well as to local destinations, including nodes, mobility hubs, major transit station areas, and employment areas. In order to create a mix and density of uses able to support the transitway station, an employment conversion is proposed in the area. And removing the regional employment area designation in this location will help to support a range of planning goals related to addressing climate change, the development of complete communities, providing a mix and range of housing types to meet future market demand, and ensuring a range of employment and commercial opportunities for North Oakville. We also have a great opportunity here to plan a community that is responsive to the climate emergency. Land use planning is a very important vehicle for addressing climate change, and to this end, the Neyagawa Urban Core will be planned as a transit-supportive, mixed-use, higher-density, complete community. It's been shown that this type of built form helps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by providing opportunities to live and work within the same community and reducing reliance on personal vehicles. So as part of the regional official plan review currently underway, growth will be allocated to municipalities within Halton to a 2051 horizon. This includes population and employment targets to key elements within the urban structure, including strategic growth areas such as the Neyagawa Urban Core. Town staff have been working with regional staff to ensure an appropriate level of population and employment is planned for the node. In this regard, the Ministry of Transportation guidelines for transit supportive densities would suggest a minimum of 72 units or 160 persons and jobs per hectare is necessary to support rapid transit. So while we are planning a largely new community, there's already a lot also going on in the Neyagawa Urban Core area. Consideration is being given to maintaining context with the existing residential subdivision and school in the southwest quadrant. And there are also two very large development applications in process, which overlap in part with the southeast portion of the study area, which are also key considerations in the broader planning for the node. For those interested in learning more, providing input to the planning processes for the Sherborne Lodge or Remington Eno plans, shown on the next slide, there will be a public meeting coming up on March 7th. So as part of planning for the strategic growth area, a number of goals and objectives are under development that will help to provide a basis for policy directions and land uses in our forthcoming official plan amendment. The goals for the Neyagawa Urban Core are that it will be a transit supportive, complete community that responds to the impacts of climate change. The strategic growth area will be a focus for higher density mixed use development and will transition over time into a vibrant, urban, pedestrian-oriented place with a range of housing, employment, and commercial opportunities and important linkages to a multimodal transportation system. To support these goals, the following objectives have been prepared. And as the Neyagawa Urban Core develops, the town will, through public actions and in the process of reviewing development applications, use these to guide decisions, to develop a transit supportive community that responds to the impacts of climate change, create linkages with the multimodal transportation network, create a vibrant community, complete community with a sense of identity, and to enable the evolution of the Neyagawa Urban Core as a prominent location for employment and population growth within the town. So this is basically where we are at this point. And looking ahead, we are working towards preparing a draft official plan amendment, which would be brought to a statutory public meeting in April. And we are also continuing to engage with key stakeholders in the public. And we would love to hear from you. So now we will open it up to a moderated Q&A if people have questions. And my colleagues Kirk and Leslie will assist with this. Thank you.
Thanks, Lara, for the presentation. Just a reminder to our participants to please use the chat function if you have a question, and then we'll be able to address those in our meeting tonight.
So far tonight we have comments from Jerry. Thank you for your comments, and I will read it out loud. She starts, are we at the leading edge, innovative and sustainable solutions for greening of the area? Development proposals similar to eco-city development and following a Deloitte article titled Urban Future with a Purpose, 12 Trends Shaping Human Living. The importance of making cities more human and nurturing, a strong sense of connection, shedding light on what cities should care about most, people. I would say definitely we're looking at having a more human scale community here, and we'll definitely take your comments under consideration, Jerry. She goes on to ask, with respect to Neyagawa being part of the transportation corridor, how will the Neyagawa Upper Middle Road intersection be handled as an end of road transition? So Neyagawa Boulevard currently extends from Highway 407 to Upper Middle Road and ends at a T intersection. So outside of the study area, but definitely Neyagawa will be impacted by the study. So she goes on to comment about the increase of traffic transitioning and spilling into Upper Middle Road. So we will be looking at traffic and transportation more broadly. It's also part of the regional transportation network and part of their regional transportation master planning. Do you have any further comments on that?
Sure, I would just add a couple comments. First, with respect to the initial questions about being at the leading edge, I think that's what we aim to do in our policy work here at the town of Oakville. And again, as we've been through this official plan review and the opportunity of the Neyagawa Urban Core to bring the best policies forward to create these types of livable, complete community environments. With respect to traffic and transportation, I think traffic's always a concern, and when you add more trips to an area, of course, there could be congestion. But what we're seeing throughout Oakville and throughout the region is introduction of different modes and different ways of getting around. So cycling, pedestrianism, and improved transit. And one of the main features in the Neyagawa Urban Core will be that a 407 transitway station is a possibility, and that would be a place to take pressure off local roads and to continue to move people around the region. So we build these features into the community as we go, and we have an opportunity to do it better each time.
Thanks, Kirk. Next up, we have a question from Liliana. She says, does higher density residential mean possibly apartment buildings? Absolutely, that's typically what higher density residential means when we say that. And this area being identified as a node, that means there would be a mix of uses, typically apartment buildings with main floor retail or office integrated on the lower floors and townhouses. We have another question about why has the employment zone been removed from this area, from Parminder? So what's been removed in the regional plan is the employment area designation, which was really restrictive in terms of it requiring traditional office and employment uses. The intent is still to maintain jobs in this area, and they would be integrated in with other uses because it is a key node in North Oakville. It's at the interchange and hopefully at a transportation and transit station. So definitely the intent is to still maintain jobs in this area.
Thanks, Leslie. We have a very specific question up next from Mike, and he has some questions about the process for damage being done to his property while construction is underway, and indicates that his property is flooded due to the construction of William Halton Extension. So Mike, we can't answer that question tonight for you. You won't be satisfied with the answer that we give you, but I would say that you need to follow up with us after this meeting, and we can address your concerns directly with the appropriate staff at the town. And I imagine with the region as well, considering it is the road construction project is a regional facility. I have a question here for Lara from Parminder, and it's a question about parks. And the question is, where are parks coming up? Children who live in the area play on the streets. There are no parks, of course, in this area. So Lara, maybe you could touch on, please, where the parks are coming in the future to the Neyagawa Urban Core.
Thanks, Kirk. Yeah, so there will be parks throughout the area as well, and in the southeast east quadrant in the draft plans that you see that we showed on the earlier slide, there is already neighborhood park space provided for in there. And that will be part of the broader planning of a complete community as providing for schools and amenity spaces as well as that.
Thanks, Lara. We have another question from Alan asking
I
about.
just wanted to add to that quickly as well. I know parks are a big concern in that area, so I'm happy to see that it's being included in the plan, but I also wanted to mention that the North Park Community Center is also being built, which isn't too far away from this intersection, which will have various outdoor amenities and parks for our community.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yes, thank you. There's a question from Alan regarding the schedule or date for establishing a station for the 407 Transitway. So we don't have a specific time for that station, but we're in discussion with the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario, MTO, and we're feeding information into their process to develop a station here that would be supported by population and employment in the core area, the Neyagawa urban core area. So it's a conversation back and forth, and we are in conjunction with the region involved with those conversations. Another question here from Nadeem, and the question is, will there be any impact to land use plan left of the urban core, especially area number 12? Could that be a reference to one of our development areas?
I think that's a reference to that community to the west of the Neyagawa urban core. So that's planned in the North Oakville East secondary plan, Nadeem, and we're not proposing to change that. It would, in the fullness of time, be redeveloped in accordance with that master plan. So next up, we have a question from Stephen. And he asks, in moving toward our climate goals, would it be your intention to ensure that all properties use only electrical power and also provide at least one charging unit in every building? We don't, at this point, have those specific requirements proposed, and that may be something we look at more broadly in the OP, not just something applied specific to this area. There is a lot of work being done townwide with respect to climate change and climate change mitigation, but we certainly will take your comment under consideration.
Okay, so we have a question here that relates to one of the slides, and so Nick, our technician, is going to bring that up. It relates to the existing development, this one here. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So the question is, the property located on the northeast corner of Neyagawa and Burnhamthorpe Road, immediately west of 9, the left of site number 9, is not identified as development interest expressed. We have made previous inquiries with the town regarding the future of this site. It should not be left out.
I think the line was just drawn incorrectly there.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So I think it's the
yellow line should be all the way over to the road.
Yeah. So the area number 9 is identified as a property, one property ownership. Immediately to the left or to the west of that is another property parcel. It is included in the study area, and it will be obviously included in the policy framework that we create. So it's not being left out. It's just not identified in the same way as area 9 or area 8 at this time.
So Parminder has asked, are there any gas stations or a small store coming? I was expecting a big chain coming as the population is growing. So Parminder, you've hit on one of the issues with North Oakville in general, and something we're hoping to address in this area, and that is the lack of our commercial facilities and retail stores. So through the official plan, we would be introducing policies that would enable the development of those types of uses. We're not developers, so we're not proposing specific things, but there will be provision for those things through the implementing zoning and eventually redevelopment.
Which I would just also add to that as well, that the conversion from the employment area to mixed use permissions would enable a greater level of development of commercial development too.
Okay, Hannah has just chimed in with a question. Is there a plan to add a secondary school in this area? And the answer is yes, not in this area specifically, but further down the road at the intersection of, I believe it's 6th Line and Burnham Thorpe, there will be a new Halton District School Board high school, and work is underway to get the approvals required to begin construction of that facility as soon as possible. That's the last question we have in the chat. So if anybody else wants to ask something, please type quickly.
I would add also that if questions come in, we can share those through the website in a frequently asked questions type of document. As well, we'll be putting these questions up. And I believe our meeting is being recorded as well. So there'll be some record there for everyone and ongoing dialogue as needed.
Liliana has asked, are there plans for trails along the green space? So there is a plan for trails in North Oakville as part of the NHS system. So in the areas surrounding the Neyagawa urban core, there will definitely be trails that we would intend to integrate with the streets and development within Neyagawa urban core.
Next question from Mark. Would a copy of the presentation be available as well?
Sure.
Absolutely, we'll make that available.
We'll post that on the study webpage as well.
Parminder has asked, what is going to happen on 4th Line where existing townhomes already there? So what's happening across the street on 4th Line, Lara? 4th Line will stay as a road.
Is it the the southwest corner of existing townhomes? Not,
Yeah.
not-
Yeah, we would be maintaining the existing residential subdivision that's there.
Yeah, 4th Line would stay as a cul-de-sac essentially south of Burnham Thorpe. And then Jerry has asked, thank you for the fine presentation. Will there be some examples of development that could be seen soon? So we could definitely include some demonstration images in our next reporting on this, just to give you a sense of the type of community and built form and public realm that we're looking at for Neyagawa Urban Core.
Plus, you can go see Sherburne Lodge now. There are also some images and development plans available to view on the southeast quadrant, where we have 2 plans of subdivision that are going through a current planning process. And as Lara mentioned, you can learn more about those through that planning process and public, statutory public meetings on March 7th. Again, through this format, town hall and oakville.ca. So there'll be some images there that you could see, and then future ones that we'll be able to produce as part of the study.
Andrew has asked, will accessible housing and affordable housing be incorporated into this area? So there will definitely be enabling policy for that, whether there's a requirement. I don't know. It's something we're looking at town-wide, Andrew.
And as well, having a mixed use and higher density, there'll be an opportunity for a greater number of units on by having the range of formal housing types as well.
Parminder has asked, is the city going to remove trees across the 4th line? Raccoons have created a lot of problems after trees on Burnhamthorpe were removed. Is there any relocation happening for these animals? Interesting question, Parminder. I'm not sure where the boundary of the NHS is on that west side of 4th line. If that street were urbanized, there may be some tree removals, but you're really getting beyond my area of expertise. That is something we could look into for you.
There is a fairly significant stretch of natural heritage system there as well that will not be touched, so hopefully the raccoons will stay in there.
I would just add that if it is of great concern, then follow up with us and we can see who at the town might be able to assist further with some kind of resolution there.
So that was our last question, if there's nothing else.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, we could wrap this up, and then if people have follow-up questions later or want to learn more later, they can get in touch, and we also have the webpage up, and we'll post the slide deck from tonight. So thank you, everyone, for coming and your participation, and good night.